Okay, folks, I got a complaint right off the bat. So tell me what you think and put it in the comments. Well, I should have put my phone on silent, but we're going to forget that happened. So the other day, I'm driving through the neighborhood, and it's not a gated community or anything like that, but it's a one way in, one way out, 25 miles an hour. I'm coming up to the stop sign. I'm about 75, 80 feet from the stop sign, doing 22 miles an hour. All right, 22, because I'm getting ready to stop. Here comes a guy blowing past me because I'm going too slow. Got 80 feet before you got to come to a stop. Does he stop? What do you think? No. So that really ticks me off when people do that. I don't know. It's not road rage, but it still pisses me off to no end. People just are not careful enough. Are you careful out there when you're driving? Because I hope so. Speaking about careful, let's be careful what we say and let's be careful about what we do out there. But today's conversation is with Dwayne Morton, and we're going to talk about adversity, what it takes to take that first step to making change. And, making change is difficult, and that first step is really hard. Who do we turn to? Who do we look for? Who do we look at for that motivation? Is it within ourselves or is it somebody else that helps us? So we're going to talk all about that. And I also want to ask you, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. It really does help. And I want to know if there's any of you out there who want to be a guest on the podcast, if you want to let me know what it is that you want me to pursue as far as the type of podcast. Let me know. Put it in the comments. Shoot me off an email. Email you can reach me at is podcast@chucktuck.com. So reach out. And before we get started, here's a quick little PSA.
Playful paws mean responsible hearts. Healthy pets make happy homes. Be a hero for your pet. Choose spay or neuter.
You're 6'2", you're a good athlete, but it was your mental preparedness that really helped propel you in success. Now, you played international, you played basketball, but you've been misdiagnosed for 18 years, is it?
Yeah, it was 18 years. Yeah, it was 2006 to 2024.
Wow. And that was some sort of rare blood cancer or something like that?
Yeah, it was a rare blood cancer, and what I ended up getting diagnosed with was just severe sleep apnea, but the symptoms are very parallel. But, eventually, at the very beginning, they only gave me 5 years to live. So that's another part of the story was like, oh, wow, like I only have 5 years. So I was 29 years old. So at 29, we're trying to figure it out. I mean, and that's what I was. I was trying to figure things out. And then when I got diagnosed, man, I didn't get married. I didn't have kids, like those type of things. Because I thought, hey, I only had 5 years. Later on, they moved it to 15. And so I had a little bit more breathing room. But lo and behold, I just decided, hey, I'm going to go take out all my 401k, all my savings, and I'm going to go not blow it. I'm going to go do the stuff that I wanted to do. And life was short, and I felt like, hey, that's what I wanted to do. And so just to kind of give you some perception of that diagnosis, like what type of impact it had on me, it had that type of impact. I was depressed, had anxiety, those type of things, because like I thought the clock was running out, not that the clock was still running.
Yeah. The one thing though that you said, I was never diagnosed with any severe things like that, so I don't know what it is when the clock is running out and you actually have been told this is the end. But you often hear that people go into themselves and then they don't do what you did, kind of like saying, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make the best of the situation, even though you're feeling depressed. So I would say, good for you for doing that rather than maybe closing the door and just waiting. But then I want to know, what was it like in your mental state of mind? You kind of alluded to this already when you were given that diagnosis and a deadline. Like I said, they give you 5 years, then they move it to 15. What were you going through mentally? And then how far into this are you now? And where's your mental state right now?
Yeah, so when I first initially was diagnosed, I had that, okay, I'm going to beat it type attitude. I basically said, hey, give me a few minutes. When he told me I was diagnosed, give me a few minutes. I cried there, and because I didn't know what was going on, but also, hey, do I trust this guy? Should I get a second opinion? I went and got a second opinion, but that was my thought process, was like, hey, what lifestyle change can I make? And so that was the first part. Made a lot of different lifestyle changes, changed the way I ate, changed different habits that weren't necessarily good, but necessarily weren't great. Tried to just throw darts at it, and it didn't do anything. So I was like, okay, well, we know it's not these things. And then I was like, if this is it, and that's that fourth year, actually the fourth year is where it got really bad, but then it started getting where it was like, oh no, we think that it's 15 years, like before, we feel like you're going to kick the bucket. There is times where I did nothing, and there was times where I did everything that I could. I mean, the best way to explain what I had is, if you have the flu, you don't feel like doing anything. It basically was like I had the flu every day. And so I was starting out my daily task with like a quarter of a tank in the tank to do a whole daily chore. I mean, so just to give you an example, I'm a 4-shower type person. Take a shower before I work out, take a shower after I work out, come back home, take a shower, go work out, go back before I went to bed, take a shower. This is the end of that. I mean, so there was days I skipped taking one. And that, I feel like that's another part, is like, when you're so locked into certain routines and you have to change them because there's no way to keep up with it.
Wow. I kind of say wow and nod my head because I kind of know what you're talking about from a personal basis. And like I said, I have not had any diagnosis of you only have X amount of time to live, but I'll just give you a short one. I woke up one morning and I thought, boy, this is a little bit darker than normal. And then I turned, I was just like, oh, that's really dark. Then I covered one eye and it was just like black. I didn't see anything. I covered the other eye and it was fuzzy. And I thought, this is really strange. Cover that eye again, black. Well, I'd gone blind.
Man.
And I gave myself a few minutes and I thought, like you said, what changes am I going to make, or how my lifestyle, what is going to happen? And I had to take it and accept it for me, that what I did caused this. Unlike you, it was outside of your control. Mine was within my control. But I had to come to the terms that this is the way it was going to be. But it's fixed now. It's a bunch of surgery. But it is weird where it affects your mind, and that can affect people differently. Some will come, like I said earlier, become recluse or whatever it might be. Some, like yourself, you become a little depressed, but you also think through it and go, what do I need to do to make these changes? And you come out, I think, a stronger person in the process, and hopefully in the end. And you definitely have. What is it that, is this that starting point of, I'm going to help others and I'm going to show what needs to be and what can be done?
So it's a really good question. So, this is an 18-year journey of me being misdiagnosed at this point. So I hadn't got healthy yet. I didn't know I was misdiagnosed. So throughout this was that tug of war of like, with myself, like, hey, what'd I do? And so one thing that I can do is I can give the listeners, they go to showuptowin.com with the 2. You'll get my Dwayne's daily plan of attack, which is the 4 things that I do. And this started as I was going through this journey of being diagnosed. The first step is going to be gratitude. Every day I just wanted to say, thank you, God, for just giving me this day. So many other people don't get that. So this is also going to tell you where my mindset was compared to other people as they're going through stuff. Second, some type of self-care. So, whether it was compassion for myself or like, reading the Bible, or like for me, it was reading a Bible, but also like picking up a personal development book or something and just reading a little bit. The next step is just going to be movement. Like I told you, I had like a quarter of a tank of gas, but like if I don't move and I just become sedentary and I don't do anything, that's not good. Also, it's celebrate when I move. So if it was just to go get a glass of OJ in the fridge, that was still movement. That's a reason to celebrate, is just to have that movement. And then the next part is just being adaptable. The adaptability part, man, a lot of people miss. There's these potholes that we have in life, and they're there. So we can like swerve, like how you made some type of changes, but you went to go look at have someone with expertise to tell you, hey, there's something wrong with your eye or the surgery or whatever you had to have, right? So you swerved around the obstacle rather than just saying, okay, I'm blind and I'm not going to do anything, right? And that one eye. Like, no, you went and got the information. Same thing. A lot of people they think that like whenever they get that one unexpected bill or something like that, it's the end of the world. There's never been a point in my life where an obstacle wasn't there that I didn't go through, right? Like, no matter what, could have been a test when I was a kid. There's no way I can make it. I'm not going to do this. My parents are going to kill me. Right. But we make through it. And so that's the thing is once we realize that mindset, then we realize that we can take control of things that we feel were uncontrollable. So I applied those 4 things. And then also just to give you a glimpse of my mindset was I thought I got my dream early because my life was being shortened. Wasn't true, but that was what I looked at. So whenever I went to the doctor, I gave those people a different perspective. I let them see the personality of Dwayne, and I made sure that I was kind, I was polite, I held doors, I was well-mannered to all the nurses, to the patients, to the doctors, every time, because I knew someone was watching, and guess what? I'm the example that they can say, and if I'm able to give them a better day because they saw a young man just be like, hey, I'm at an oncologist, but like that was what I did. That was my game. Like that was my game, like day when I went to the doctor to be able to say, okay, I'm going to show up fully intentional and in presence. And that's what actually built up Show Up to Win. Show Up to Win is not about winning championships and games like most people think. It's about showing up with intention and showing up in presence fully.
I like that. I'm just going to throw a percentage to it. That's 50% of getting something done is just to show up, just show up to win. I think for me, at least, I would say I could take it as far as saying, if you show up, you've already won. Now you could do the job or whatever it is. And correct me if I'm wrong on that stuff.
No, it is. But like, so show up to win is more than being in attendance. Like, I believe just being in attendance kind of a cop out. I went to school for all these years. If I just sit there and don't apply and I do nothing, I'm not getting better. But if I show up with some type of intention and I show up with presence and I'm showing up with, okay, I'm here, for school. Hey, I'm here to learn. And I apply myself, then that's where the magic part is. I think people make it too easy, and it's nothing's easy that is worthwhile. Let's just be honest. If it's easy, then it's probably not worth your time. Yeah. And so that's the thing is I believe in showing up and just showing up with intention and showing up in presence and not just being there.
I agree. Yeah. Thank you for correcting me on that. Yeah. It's not just showing up when I said show up and you've already won, but you have to have a sense of presence. You have to have a purpose and the reasoning, and you have to do it with intent. Thanks on that. Again, so you went through this process and you were diagnosed, misdiagnosed, and then you're correctly diagnosed. Was there any part of this when you were going through the process, when you're going through the misdiagnosis, that you're feeling this, you're compelled to share your story and to help others? Or when did that come about, and kind of how did it come about?
Yeah, so there's another part of the story is I was involved in a police shooting as a bystander in 2022 on May 16th. That was really the kickoff of like, hey, I need to talk about this more. Now, again, as I'm diagnosed these 18 and a half years, the last 3 years I was involved in that shooting. So I was dealing with PTSD and survivor's guilt on top of dealing with other stuff. And I'll be honest, like there was never a suicidal thought, but I was like, okay, what is the lesson that I need to learn? How can I help other people? And damn, if I just was healthy, what would I do? And I let that dream and I let that manifestation come. And then on March 8th of 2024, Chuck, I went into the oncologist, had a brand new oncologist. I had seen 6 other oncologists, so this was my 7th. And he said, I don't feel you have this. And he's like, gave me the paperwork and explained it to me. And I didn't go get a second opinion. I just took it for fact. And I was like, let's figure out that I have sleep apnea. Soon as, I think it was like the second day I was on the CPAP, I felt better. And then, it's been like a year and maybe 4 months now, but like more healthy. But I'm also like, I'm willing to share because I know that there's someone else out there that can take the lesson from me and do something. So one of my friends, who's a great mentor of mine, Victoria Rader, she told me, she said, things don't just happen to you. And then you go into this point where you think things happen for you. So, it gave me a platform. It gives me a way to get on and talk to people like yourself. But the secret sauce is when things are happening through you, you realize your shoulders were strong enough to bear the load. I'm teaching the lesson to you guys. Like, I'm sharing the lesson, so you're learning the lesson through me. And so my job is to facilitate that lesson to everybody and the people. And that's where I get more inspiring, but also that's where I get the part where it's like, okay, I'm ready to do this. And, this has been a journey. This has been a ton of personal development, but like, I became an author through this. I become an inspirational speaker, resilience coach. So like people are looking to me to facilitate these lessons that I learned through these challenges. And I'm willing to accept that responsibility, but let's be honest. You've watched Spider-Man, and I'm sure you watched Superman, but like, the Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. Here's the thing. The Dwayne that you're getting right now is still in that Superboy phase where he's flying around and still crashing. Same thing with the Spider-Man part. Like, I'm still figuring this out. Like, I'm still learning every day, but I'm also willing to teach people what I know right now as I'm growing and learning and becoming the person that's going to be a person in front of stages and speaking in front of stadiums and being on TEDx. Like, those are things that I aspire to be. But also I have to understand that there's a growth period. I didn't become a great basketball player overnight just by going in my backyard. I had to learn. And so these are different steps that I'm doing right now. So
can you remind everybody once again where they could go to find the information, where they can find out more about you, and possibly how they can bring you into to be a guest speaker?
So the best way to reach me is DwayneMorton.com is my website. Also, showuptowin.com is for the community when it opens. Show Up to Win on IG with the number 2. And it normally, honestly, I use Facebook more than I use anything. But that's the thing is, I'm not at that unapproachable stage either, Chuck. Like you see me on people see me on the street and they like ask me things. And then also I have the book, The Bounce Back Blueprint, Become Bulletproof, that came out on May 16th. That's going to be on Amazon. But I'm still in that part of figuring out how to best serve the people. And so I'm listening to people. I'm doing split tests right now. So I think that's important, is to know what other people are looking for and what they want. Because I built the program based on what I was looking for when I was going through the stuff I went through. So I feel like it definitely fits a need for sure.
Yeah, and like I said at the top of the hour, I think what you're sharing with us today will resonate with a lot of people out there, because we could take from it what you have learned, and then now we can learn because you're sharing with us. Because I look at it, gratitude is a big one, and we hear that more and more often now, is having gratitude. And I think so many people just miss that simple thing, is having gratitude. So I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Yeah, so there's a story to this. I'd love to tell this story. When I was 19 and I was playing overseas, they gave us food. Like, community would make a big deal. They'd give us food. I'm a picky eater, man. I didn't want to eat that day. So I pushed my plate up. A 5-year-old boy came and humbled me that day. He had not eaten in 3 days. And so he ate the food that I had. And so that allowed me, Chuck, to have this huge shift, that our nightmares are other people's dreams. And I'll say that again, our nightmares are other people's dreams. And when you're able to take on that, and when all those challenges that I went through, one of the challenges I didn't explain was my basketball career got stopped because of a knee injury. So like, I didn't even, for me to turn professional, I didn't get the contract because I hurt my knee. So I realized that going through these challenges and, getting that challenge pretty much right out of the gate, I realized that other people had it worse. Now, whether that was through guilt or shame at that point, I'm not sure. but it's gratitude is the main thing, is be happy with what you have, because we're equipped with everything that we need. That a lot of people will tell you, I need this, I need this, I need this. But right now, man, we're equipped with everything we need. I mean, we don't have, you can go to a homeless person and they still are able to be equipped for what they need. They probably have it where they could sell stuff. I mean, there's different aspects where they just don't have the understanding and mindset to realize that they have everything to make a move to get them out of that situation.
That's one thing. I'm glad you're saying this, because we are all, like I said, equipped with what we need. And I think it's just a matter of how we use those tools that we have to get, this might sound wrong, but to get what we want. We are equipped with the tools to get what we want. And I'm not talking for greed purposes and things like that. So, but some may take it that way, but use the tools that you have to become successful, to become happy, and to have gratitude. I'm going to go back to that. It's gratitude. And I'm like you. Before I go to bed and when I wake up, I have gratitude. I thank, friends, family, and what I'm just thankful and blessed for what I have and the opportunities that have been given to me. If those opportunities aren't there clear as day, I try to find a path to make those opportunities. Again, because like you said, we are given those tools to do that.
Gratitude is the door that opens up to more, to the abundance part. Is you have to be able to be in that appreciative state to actually say, hey, I would like more. Jim Rohn, who, like I was telling you, I'm in his mentor tree. My mentor was mentored by him, and he mentored Jim Rohn in public speaking. But like one of his biggest speeches is like, you have to ask to receive. And that's a humbling thing for a lot of people. They don't ask.
Yeah. It's why is that? I mean, it goes back to the same thing as a lot of people don't ask because they're afraid to ask. A lot of people will point fingers and blame somebody else, but also at the same time, a lot of people are more harsh on themselves and think negatively about themselves than what others would say.
Absolutely. It is a self-value issue. Is the reason we don't ask is because we don't feel that we are worthy. Once we realize that we're worthy, then we start asking. But also we're asking with the intention of, okay, moving the ball down the field, like a football analogy. Like when I'm able to receive this, then I can do this. Like I like to tell people I'm in car A to get to car B to get to car C. Like when you talk to like business leaders and CEOs, they talk about that. They don't talk about like, hey, I'm going to have $1 billion company. I mean, so Warren Buffett, when he started out with the pinball machines, he only started out with one pinball machine, and he took the profits to buy another one. So it wasn't like, hey, I want to become this billionaire and have stock in all these companies. He started out with one pinball machine. And I think that's the other part of the lesson is like, you got to start out with taking that step. And as me and you were talking beforehand, there's two things that like I like for people to realize. First of all, you got to decide and make that decision. Hey, begin. So the first part is begin, make that commitment. And then the second part is to plan or get a mentor. And so I like to say I'm going to begin and go find me a mentor, and then have the mentor help me create the plan. I feel like that's the best way, especially in business. But a lot of people they're like, okay, I'm going to skip the mentor part. I'm going to plan. But if you just begin and you don't have a plan or a mentor, you're going to be behind. It's going to take a lot more years, and you're going to probably lose a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like this. For an analogy for me is, if you want to get to the top of your house, the roof of your house, you're using a ladder. I can't fly, so you're not there, bam, instantly. You're climbing the rungs or climbing the steps. So those are steps to get to the top. And I think it's the same thing is at least how I'm understanding it and how I view it is what you're saying is you begin, but there are steps to get to the top of where you want to go or where you want to be.
Absolutely. But you got to have that first step. The first step is the hardest too, Chuck, is to be able to say, okay, I want this, and I'm willing to make that commitment to make that one step. And then, I was talking about movement. Whenever I have to move on something, I bring it to the simple part of left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. I don't know if you've ever picked up something really heavy, and if you're looking how far you have to take it, That's usually when that thing gets really, really heavy. But if you can simplify it, okay, I want to take a step with it, okay, and just concentrate on that one part, things get moved a lot easier. It becomes more simple. And when in our mind, when we simplify things, that's when it makes it more effortless.
Yeah. Um, these are all great tips, great analogies, great everything that you're giving us, great insight into what you went through and for us to be able to learn from it. I was wondering before we close out if there's one or two things that you can give a suggestion to or a tip on how to get started. We've been saying just start. What do we need to do to get that start? Is there something mental? Is there something physical to actually put it into motion?
Yeah, I feel like there's two things: is just be present with yourself and be like, do I want this or is this from somewhere else? So close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and like allow that feeling of, if I had this, would this fulfill me? If it doesn't give you an exciting feeling, don't do it. It's something else. You know, if I said, hey, I'm going to lose weight, like close my eyes and I'm thinking of, okay, I want to get down to 190 pounds. Like that excites me. That's why I wake up every morning and run the way I do. But that's the other part. If it doesn't excite you, you probably aren't meant to do it, because that's the inspiration part that you're getting. It's here. It comes from within. Everything comes from within. The other step I would do is just list the things that you want and then ask yourself, like, do I really want this? Or is this something where programmed, someone else told me, hey, I want, I should have a 2-story house rather than a three-bedroom house. Like there's just those things that we hear from people who have what we feel like influence or authority. So that would be I think the most important step is to realize, hey, is this in alignment with me? Like, is this something that I want to put the effort and to create this commitment, but also is this going to be fulfilling? Because there's so many people out there that do things that aren't fulfilling. And then they're like, why did I do this? Well, you're listening to your neighbor, Jim, who, he got the new car and you're wanting to, to get a new car because Jim got one. Like that's not fulfilling. That's not in alignment. And so I think it's very important just to be able to put that out there, is just be one with yourself and really decide if this is a choice for you or if it's a choice for someone else.
I like that. Making sure that it aligns with who and what you are. So that's great. Once again, folks, today's conversation has been with Dwayne Morton, and you can find him at dwaynemorton.com. And also over my shoulder here, we have showuptowin.com. I'll make sure that I have everything in the show notes. Dwayne, this has been great, aside from all the technical difficulties we had early on, but I've learned a lot from you, and you are an inspiration. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on and having a conversation. And, that's the other thing, is like what we were talking about, obstacles. We had tech issues. We could have just threw in the towel and been like, okay, let's do it another day. But we push on. Some people just like to push on. That's the other part, is when you get some type of resistance, you can find a way to just, hey, let's figure this out. Let's try to do this, because we were having a great conversation. And so that's what's beautiful about that. But thanks a lot, man, for having me on and inviting me. It's so incredible to get to know you. And I'm looking forward to inviting you on my podcast, but also at the same time, like coming back and those type of things. But I feel like this is going to be a great friendship and relationship going forward.
I think so too. Thanks. And everyone, don't forget, be grateful. Have some gratitude.